All right. Are we live? It looks like we might be. Hello, hello, everyone. We are going to have a little fun again today. Let me just make sure everything's going here. I'm going to share this to the Discord. Feel free to join the Discord. The link is always in the description if you have not done so already. All right, posting that in there. Also, feel free to support me on Patreon if that's something you're interested in, getting some early access to videos. But that said, I think we're good to start here. We are going to crown the normiest metal band. And I want to be clear from the front end, this is all in good fun. We're just messing around, being silly, not being serious at all here. Like, I love pretty much every band on this list, so it is not an affront to them. It's more of kind of like just taking a poll on deciding when you just see kind of a random person wearing a t-shirt, what is the band you're most likely to see. So let me get the chat up here too. Hello, hello, welcome. Yeah. Oh man, maybe I should have had Falling in Reverse on here, but no. This was all based on already a community poll on the community tab of the YouTube channel, and that's where all these bands came from. But yeah, we're going to start. It's over before it started. I don't know. I was surprised last time with the black metal one. So let's just get in though with the vote. So I'm going to start our first poll. Which is normier? Is it Black Sabbath or is it Slayer? I'm going to throw that to y'all and you can give me the vote right in there. And I've got it set up now that after the fact people can actually watch the chat, thankfully. So what's it? Oh, wow. All right. Slayer taking it pretty strong already here. I don't know why I can't see the full chat here on my screen, but I don't know. I'll try to figure this out. Sure what's going on. Yeah, I can't see the top of the poll, but it looks like it's swinging 70%. Slayer, oh, it's shifting a little bit. Which band again? Not which is better, not which is the better band, which is the normier band. The band you're most likely to see just some rando who's maybe not a huge metal fan on the street wearing a shirt from. Okay, I see the poll shifting now that I said that. Keep that in mind. Not which band is better, which one is normier. You got an ad for the for the Falling in Reverse song on this video. That's fantastic. Gotta love that. Getting linked up to the right audience apparently. Oh, it's swinging. It's swinging to Black Sabbath at this point. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling that too. I mean, I see a lot of Slayer shirts out there, but probably much more likely to see some boomers wearing Black Sabbath shirts. So yeah, which band is normier? Still watching the chat here. 65% going to Black Sabbath. Going once, going twice. Sold to Black Sabbath for our first winner here. So let's move on to Iron Maiden versus Judas Priest. So again, to be clear, this is not about which is better, which is a better band, which is the normier band, which is the band you're more likely to see out in the wild. Some random person wearing the shirt. And I don't have anything against people who wear these shirts and maybe don't listen to the music a ton, but that's the type of person I'm thinking about. Like the people who are out there wearing these shirts, not really thinking about whether or not they know anything about their music, which again, totally fine. So let me close this poll and we're going to start a new one. Start a poll. So again, which is normier? Is it Iron Maiden? Or is it Judas Priest? Both great bands. Personally, I'm more of a Judas Priest guy as far as the music goes, but that's, again, not what we're talking about. We are talking about norminess. There we go. I can see the full poll this time. So poll is in the chat. Throw in your votes. And I'm checking out what other people are saying here too. Hopefully I've got all my windows set up correctly. I've messed around a little bit more with OBS this time to kind of make the presentation a bit more fun. Norminess, yes. Which is normier? Oh, it went away again. Dang it. Well, Iron Maiden taking a strong lead here, it looks like. We got 93% Iron Maiden. Gonna give it another few seconds, see if anything changes. Priest, Maiden is overrated. Personally, I agree. I know that triggers a lot of people, but I do think Maiden is pretty overrated. They've got a couple of really great albums, some really great singles, but personally, when you consider the full scope of their discography, they're just okay. But again, we're not ranking bands, we are ranking norminess, and it looks like Iron Maiden easily taking the win here with 91% of the vote. It's going to Iron Maiden. Winner. All right, next up, we got thrash versus thrash here. I tried to make these matchups pretty fair too. So now we've got Megadeth versus Metallica. I think I know which way this one's gonna go, but let's put the poll up there. Megadeth versus Metallica, the big showdown. Can I just do it without the question? I think I can. So yeah, which is normier? Megadeth or Metallica? Who are you most likely to see out in the wild on a t-shirt from some rando? What are they wearing? Oh yeah. Yeah, 100% of the vote going to Metallica already. Yeah, not surprising at all. Is anyone going to vote for Megadeth? That's the real question here. But we got 30 votes in already. It's 100% Metallica. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Isn't Slipknot on the list? Yes, we are going to get to Slipknot. Yeah, the Stranger Things band, for sure. And again, I want to be really clear. Like, I'm not being an elitist here. I'm not being a gatekeeper. I have no problem with those people out in the wild that we're talking about. In fact, any gateway is cool by me. If you got into metal from Stranger Things, hey, we all got to start somewhere. That's totally fine. But it seems pretty clear who the winner is here. Ending this poll, winner easily Metallica with 100% of the vote. That's going to be interesting moving forwards, I can already tell. I can see some people commenting in the chat too. I don't like Megadeth, but Metallica is a shirt, but for normal people. Bye kids, no trenches here. Funny enough, though, Megadeth fans are either 15 or 50. No in between, that's probably true. Is this a popularity contest? Again, no. It's all about which is quote-unquote normier. Could be local popular bands like Linnea 77 in Italy be a normie band, even if out of Italy they are not known at all. I think norminess, there is a local relative, like for instance in Chicago, Local H was a pretty well-known band, but outside of Chicago, not as much. You know, like they had some hits on the radio, but you could consider, I'd say that's less normie than the national or international bands, but yeah. Bring Me the Horizon. No, we went with like the most basic stuff on this list. So yeah, let's start this next poll. We've got Slipknot versus Cannibal Corpse. Again, not which is better. This is not a popularity thing. This is not a music-based thing. This is purely... Wait, I didn't want the Q&A. Hold on. Pushed the wrong button. This is purely which is normier. I think I know which way this one's going to go too, but we shall see. Which one is the band you're most likely to see out in the wild on some rando who probably... maybe they listen to that band, but they don't listen to a lot of other metal music. Again, when I say normies, I mean somebody who's not like a typical, like they love metal. They're listening to a lot of it. They're just listening to a band or two, or may not even know the band, but they're just wearing the shirt. Oh yeah, yeah. This is kind of how I figured this one would go too. I'm seeing this swing hard towards Slipknot. We've got like a vote for Cannibal Corpse, it looks like, but by and large, seeing in the chat, this going pretty hard towards Slipknot with 95% of the vote. Slipknot normal edgy kids didn't discover Cannibal Corpse yet. And to be totally fair, this was me. This was me growing up. I don't think I actually ever had a Slipknot t-shirt, but Slipknot was my gateway band into metal. And I definitely did not listen to Cannibal Corpse until a couple years later after that. So I was this normie. We all start out as normies. None of us come out of the womb as pure cult elite metalheads. So again, no shade. Don't think I've ever seen a single Cannibal Corpse. This was voted in the community tab. I've seen a few out there. But yeah, 94%. I'm going to end that vote. Going to Slipknot for the normier band. No real surprise there. All right, so continuing on this side, we're now matching up Sabbath versus Maiden. So let me put up the new poll here. Which is normier, Black Sabbath or Iron Maiden? I feel like this is a pretty fair matchup. I'll be interested to see which way this one goes. So poll is up. What are people saying in the comments here? Strangely, I've seen many college students wearing Cannibal Corpse in the wild. Yeah, they're a pretty well-known band. Even people who don't listen to death metal, that's like the one death metal band I feel like most people know. Or have heard of, thanks to things even like Ace Ventura. I came out of the womb blasting obscure black metal. Sure you did. Sure you did. See my fair share of Cannibal Corpse shirts out there. Seen a lot of people talking about Maiden here. Thoughts on the new Hellripper album? It freaking slaps. I've actually been listening to it for like 2 months now. I have the best of February video coming out with 15 bands on that. Not this week, but next week. This week will be Insomnium tier list and the dreaded, miserable Godsmack tier list. That should be a fun one. So yeah, vote swinging towards, it's pretty close. So Iron Maiden with 52%, Black Sabbath with 47% of the vote. I'll give it a few more seconds here because that's pretty tight. It could shift in the other direction. Certainly more Maiden t-shirts. They market. Yeah, there's definitely more marketing. It's kind of a cooler logo too, I would say. So even if you're just wearing it for the logo, I would agree that probably more likely to see that. Yeah, Hellripper. I never say album of the year contender this early in the year. In fact, I don't even start talking about album of the year until like October-ish. Like, because it's just too early. It's too early. Something else could totally blow me away. But I will say that Hellripper album is the favorite thing I've listened to so far this year. But there have been some other good ones too. Godsmack is like the McDonald's of alternative music. Yeah, Godsmack is still around. And honestly, I'll talk more about this in the video. But I was kind of surprised. Not only have they been consistently dropping material, but they have a lot of #1 albums and platinum albums. Like, some of you might be surprised at how well some of those albums charted. In fact, one of the albums beat Linkin Park's Meteora when it came out for that #1 spot. So you'd be surprised, you know. I guess I'm in the wrong here. But talking about speaking of which, I don't think Godsmack is on this list. Maybe they should be, considering that. Never loved black metal, but that Hellripper album literally made me reconsider. Hell yeah, dude. I love stories like that. It's great. Can't wait for everyone, hopefully, to listen to that. So yeah, it looks like this is tight. I keep wanting to end it, but it's 51-49, still in favor of Iron Maiden, but it's very, very close. Yeah, AC/DC is normiest of normies. Yeah, I almost had that on here, but I decided more rock than metal, I guess. Led Zeppelin, too, same kind of in that realm. Godsmack, yeah, I know, that's why I'm doing the tier list, because Godsmack's dropping the new album next week. So I will be doing that. Yeah, dude, Godsmack did a lot of stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised if they did some WWE music. They had a music video that had, like, the MMA stuff in it. They did a song for the Scorpion King, you know, like, they were pretty big. But, yeah, it looks like I'm going to end it 65 votes, very close, 52% in favor of Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden progresses. So now we got another, I think this will be an interesting and tough one too. So Metallica versus Slipknot. Let me get the poll ready. Metallica versus Slipknot. Yeah, this should be an interesting one. Somebody said, I love Gidsmack. I'm sure you meant Godsmack. Some people like Godsmack. That's fine. Not really my thing. But I will say, like, it'll be interesting when I put that video up. Because there were 2 albums that I kind of enjoyed. Is Deftones for normies before TikTok? I would say so. They are on this list, so we will get to them. Even though I'm a massive Deftones fan. Godsmack is the 5-finger death punch of the 2000s. I would pretty much wholeheartedly agree with that statement. That's pretty close. Metallica's Normiest band, no contest. Slipknot would probably be 3rd after Maiden. Slipknot again. Normiest band with a frontman named Norman. I think Metallica is a bit more popular than Slipknot. Yeah, I would say so. That might be shifting though with the generational divide. You see a lot more new metal fans as adults these days because that bracket that I grew up in has now become the adults that are buying up the merch. Yeah, and again, remember, we are not saying which band is better. We are saying which is normier, but this seems pretty clear with 71 votes. I'm going to go ahead and just call it, I think. Yeah, Stranger Things definitely boosted Metallica for the new generation. That was a very smart move on everyone's part. Yeah, with 72 votes... It is 84% favoring Metallica. Metallica progresses, which means we have quite the mashup here. Iron Maiden versus Metallica now to finish out this side of the tier. So let me get that up. Iron Maiden now going head-to-head with Metallica, which is the normier band of the 2. I think this is a pretty tough one. I'm honestly not sure which one I would vote. Which I'm not voting, by the way. This is all you guys. This is all what you have to say. It's Metallica for people under 23. Slipknot is definitely more popular. Yeah, when you break it down by age groups. But then again, I don't know. Like, especially with that new exposure and considering you get a lot more Metallica on the radio, so people are more likely to have heard it growing up by diffusion. So I don't know. That would be an interesting thing to do some polling on. Long before I heard Slipknot, I thought it was just some hardcore clothing brand. I could totally see that for sure with that logo. Yeah, damn, this is a tough one. Metallica, there, solved your quandary for you. Donate $5 to me. Okay. Maiden, I've been surprised before, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, Metallica once again taking pretty much the entire vote. Yeah, I thought that might be a little bit dicier, but no, with 63 votes, we are going with Metallica. There's like no way it's going to swing back at this point. Isn't Rammstein a very normie band? Somewhat. And they almost ended up on the list, but when I narrowed it down, these were the options. So that ends that side of the tier list. Let's move on to now the right side of the bracket. Check over here. Let me get the chat going. We are moving to, speaking of new metal extravaganza here. Korn versus Limp Bizkit. Which is the band you're most likely to see on a t-shirt out and about? The band that has more fans that maybe that's the only metal band that they listen to. You know, people are even going to argue if Limp Bizkit is metal or even if Korn is metal, but we're not here to debate that today. We are just polling which is normier, Limp Bizkit or Korn. And again, big fan of both, honestly. Like, unironically, I still blast Significant Other a lot. Like, that is a fun album. I don't care what anyone says. And the first 4 Korn albums are required listening, in my opinion. And the last 2 were honestly pretty good. The Nothing was really good. And then the last one, Requiem, it was fun. Ooh, 50-50 right now with 56 votes. Interesting. Chat says, chocolate starfish. Heck yeah. I would say a lot of metalcore is kind of normie stuff. You know, I think, oh yeah, like the newer breed of stuff. Yeah, you'll see some Motionless in White and Falling in Reverse stuff. But you're not going to like see, like I feel like those people are still in a quote unquote scene. And I think if you're in a scene, I consider you less of a normie than just like your average schmo out on the street. Okay, we're swinging a little bit towards Korn, 52% to 48%. Give Biscuit the slight edge, someone says. Korn, self-titled Follow the Leader, defined new metal. I agree. But again, we're not saying which is the better band. We're just saying which is the normier band. Yeah, preference-wise, I would probably prefer to listen to Korn most days than Limp Bizkit. But again, we're not talking about that. Which is the normier thing? Avenged Sevenfold for normies. I think they were back in the day. Now, I wouldn't say so much. Yeah, but I do see some Avenged Sevenfold like tattoos and shirts and stuff out in the wild, which is kind of fun. Is You Come Before You still your favorite metal album of all time? It's definitely, it rotates around in like my top 5. Like it's up there. But there are other ones too that it competes with on a regular basis. Limp Bizkit are deathcore pioneers. Can we agree? I mean, there's definitely a lot of new metal influence in, especially deathcore right now. So, I mean, maybe, maybe. LB's cringe level is over the roof for sure, but it's so much fun. So much fun. I'd say Limp Bizkit because they branched out to different demographics other than the metal one. Yeah, you know, I was expecting it to go that way. I mean, I knew a lot of kind of like frat boy type dudes who were rocking the Limp Bizkit, but not so likely to be listening to Korn. But the poll at 80 votes is saying Korn is the winner here. Going once, going twice. Sold. Korn progresses in the normie bracket. And I guess I would, as far as like seeing t-shirts too, I'm much more likely to see the random Korn t-shirt out there, probably. All right, we're going groove metal versus groove metal. Lamb of God versus Pantera. Big fan of both again. Lamb of God was a big part of my like later high school, early college experience with Ashes of the Wake and the one before that. That's my favorite. As the Palaces Burn, all that stuff. Not loving their newer stuff as much, but it's still decent. And then of course Pantera, some classics there. Vulgar Display of Power, awesome. I have tier list videos, by the way, for both of these bands. In fact, a lot of the bands on this list I have tier list videos for. You can check out Cannibal Corpse, Slipknot, Metallica. I'll be redoing Metallica too. I just did Megadeth last year. Basically, if they've had a recent new release, I've probably done it. But we are voting. Which is the normier band, Lamb of God or Pantera? I've seen a lot of people saying Pantera. I could probably agree with that. They're definitely the more, and again, if we're thinking about like radio hits, like Pantera was on the radio. I missed that era too, where like you'd actually get a lot of metal hits on the radio alongside some more popular music. So yeah, this one's swinging pretty hard for Pantera, 95% to 5%. We got 76 votes. It's not changing. I'm going to end that one. Call it for Pantera. Not a big surprise there. Lamb of God putting up a good showing. But speaking of Five Finger Death Punch, which was just mentioned, let's put them up against Disturbed. So, normier. Which one is normier? Is it Disturbed, getting down with the sickness, or is it Five Finger Death Punch doing their thing? Like, that says a lot. I can't even like name a song off the top of my head, even though I did that album review. I considered doing a tier list for them, but I just couldn't stomach it. I really couldn't. They're probably the only band on this list that I kind of dislike. Let me put the poll up. I forgot to hit the button. An error occurred. Oh no. What's going on? We got issues here. Give me a second. Disturbed and Five Finger Death Punch. Hopefully it'll work this time. By the way, speaking of normie stuff, that new Dave Matthews song, kind of a banger. Kind of a banger, low key. Like those first 3 Dave albums are actually like pretty influential for me. And the new single had some of that energy. So any Dave fans out there, You can never be too metal for Dave. And honestly, listen to a song like The Stone or Don't Drink the Water or Halloween. Like, they get kind of metal sometimes. Like Dave can belt it out. But that's a random aside. We're saying which is more, Normie, Disturbed, or Five Finger Death Punch. Swinging pretty hard towards Disturbed right now. Disturbed is less cringy. I would agree with that. But again, it's not about which is cringier. It's which is normier. Disturbed has more fans, but at least they got some quality music. I would agree with that. Disturbed got some good tunes, especially singles. Despise Five Finger Death Punch. And again, to anyone in the audience, if you love Five Finger Death Punch, more power to you. You are totally welcome here. Disturbed barely wins. Five Finger Death Punch used to be on Madden soundtrack. Dude, I miss that era of like the metal soundtracks for movies and video games and stuff. Everyone's at least heard Wrong Side of Heaven and Down with The Sickness. For sure, just notice you're wearing an Alaska t-shirt. Heck yeah, I am. Another great album that is not on this list. All right, so swinging pretty hard for Five Finger Death Punch. 66% with 79 votes. Going once, going twice. Sold as my dog busts through the door, the blind one. Five Finger Death Punch, moving on. All right, and then the final in this particular bracket, Tool versus Deftones. I think I know which way this one's going to go to, but again, maybe you will surprise me. So, which is normier? Tool, Deftones, both very formative bands for me. Big high school bands. I had shirts for both of them too. I wore the Tool shirt out, so I don't have that one anymore. I still have one of my, I took a Deftones shirt and I turned it into a hoodie because the shirt didn't fit me anymore. But yeah, still rock both of them. Still enjoy both of them. But which is normier? Which is the normier band you're going to see out on a t-shirt, out and about with just some dude? Deftones because of the TikTok kids. Is Deftones having like a big like TikTok surge? I haven't seen that. I'm never on TikTok though, so maybe I should be wiser, but that app makes me ill most of the time when I'm on it. Chino, my beloved. Again, not which is the better band, which is the normier band. The more, you could add popularity into that too. Personally, I would say it's Tool, but you're surprising me right now because it's swinging towards Deftones. So I might have to check out this TikTok trend, apparently. I have been getting recommended a lot of random videos that are like Deftones on shuffle, be like, and then it'll have their music over random memes and stuff. So maybe that's what's going on. But yeah, interesting to see. I would have thought Tool would have just blown this out, but at 81 votes, it's going 54% to Deftones. Still pretty close. I watch you change for sure. Tool, because I've seen Anthony Fantano videos on them. I'm surprised too. I didn't know Deftones were catching. Yeah, I'm going to have to check this out. Like, what is going on? This is really shocking to me. Alt girls are eating up Deftones these days. I could see that. I could totally see that. They definitely have that edge. And again, honestly, Deftones, one of my all-time favorite bands. I'm going to put it out there. Like, still, to this day, really love all their albums to an extent. But yeah, I love, and I have their whole discography except for Gore on my shelf behind me. So one day I'll pick up Gore out of like a $5 bin or something just to complete it. Double monthly listeners on Spotify. Very interesting. Very interesting. I feel like even just 5 to 10 years ago, this would have been 100% towards Tool. But at 85 votes, I'm calling it for Deftones. Shocking. Shocking upset here. Moving on. All right. So that brings us now to Korn versus Pantera. What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Let me get the poll together here. Korn and Pantera, which is the normier band. Not which is better. I'm gonna keep saying this just for new people dropping in. Which is normier? Korn or Pantera? Both bands I quite enjoy. A little inconsistently. Okay. Already seeing some pretty hard swing towards Pantera. Still somewhat close. Could make some change. What's a recommendation on Deftones? Highly recommend Around the Fur, White Pony, And for something a little bit newer, Koi no Yokan, or actually, honestly, Ohms is really good too. But those are usually my top three to recommend to a new listener. I think White Pony gives you the best kind of cross section of like everything that they're capable of, and it's a classic album for a reason. It was the one that got me into them for sure. So yeah, definitely check out some of their stuff, but they don't really have a bad album. Tool would be Normie a year ago. Yeah, maybe. Trapped, as cringe as Trapped is, and as like personally, in my opinion, bad Trapped is. Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows them. I didn't see the last part of that. Yeah, they're not normie. They're just lame, especially the singer. Jesus. I'd say Korn nowadays. People saying this one's a little bit tough. Was Pantera ever in South Park? I feel like there's a reference, but my mind, I don't think so. And I've rewatched South Park quite a bit. Korn obviously was. They had that great episode where it's like Scooby Doo style. Great episode. Form of Korn. Pantera is not for normies. Korn definitely are. I don't know, man. Like, I know a lot of Pantera normies out there because they heard Walk on the radio, and so a bunch of like meathead dudes. And they continue to be one of the most toxic fan bases I encounter too. Like, even though on my tier list video I mostly praised them the entire time, anytime I had any sort of criticism about an album, I had so many pissed off comments from just absolute bottom dweller type folks. Never gotten into Deftones, never liked Chino's vocals. Yeah, they're definitely kind of an acquired taste. Did you hear the new Linkin Park single? Yeah, I listened to it a little bit. It was fine. I can't really call that new though, because it's more of like just unreleased. Pantera was in SpongeBob. I didn't know that one. Trap chased off Gab, dude. They're getting kicked off everything. Korn was on the Monk episode. Interesting. I didn't know that one. Spinning Korn. It's close, but it's still swinging towards Pantera. 87 votes. I got a funny story about Pantera. A guy at work I knew wearing a Pantera shirt. I asked them what their favorite track was. They said, I like the one that goes Walk. Yeah, that's the type of folks I run into a lot with this one too. No shade to the music, because they've got some damn good songs, and Dimebag was a damn fine guitarist, but yeah, it's close, but I'm going to end this poll. Pantera winning it out. Tight race, though. All right, so now Deftones versus Five Finger Death Punch, which is the normier of these two bands. Get that going. Deftones with Five Finger Death Punch. I think it didn't like that I just did FFDP before, for whatever reason. Can't believe nobody has mentioned Papa Roach. Yeah, they were another honorable mention here for sure, but not quite as popular these days, so you're not likely to see too many. I can't think of a Papa Roach shirt I've seen in the last 12 months. Greetings from Costa Rica. What means normiest? Great question. So normiest is just bands non-metalheads tend to listen to and wear t-shirts of, is the simplest way I could put it. So something you're likely to just see random non-metal fans out and about wearing or listening to in their cars, that sort of thing. If normal means general population's got to be Five Finger Death Punch. Slipknot we've already dealt with Slipknot, and they ultimately got beat out by Metallica on the other side. So you can watch the replay to catch up on that. Deftones more popular, accepted than Five Finger Death Punch. Are they? Well, yeah, maybe these days. This could surprise me. No, it's definitely swinging towards Five Finger Death Punch. I think people are definitely taking into account just the ilk of that fan base, which, to their credit, were actually pretty reasonable last year when I really kind of took a dump on the new album. I didn't get nearly as many hate comments as I thought I would. They were honestly one of the most reasonable fan bases of that entire year, which is shocking to me considering what they've been like in the past. But yeah, I honestly just call Five Finger Death Punch all the time. It works perfectly. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. Someone chugging Monster energy drinks with tank tops blasted. Yeah, that's the image in my head too. Heaven Shall Burn's pretty solid. To the question in chat. Oh yeah, what the heck? Linkin Park is not on here. You are correct. I probably should have included them, but They didn't make it, so it is what it is. We're working with what we got. This is easily 79 votes, 82% going Five Finger Death Punch. Five Finger Death Punch moves on. Which brings us to the final right bracket poll here with Pantera versus Five Finger Death Punch. And I feel like these are kind of like similar fan bases from different generations, is the way I put it. I definitely enjoy Pantera's music a lot more, but their fan bases definitely, yeah, there's some similarities I've come across there. Both kind of tough guy bands, you know, a lot of Meathead listeners, which there are some cool Meatheads out there, but not always. Not always the nicest people to encounter. So, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Five Finger Death Punch versus Pantera. Unironically tried Monster Energy once, hated. Yeah, it's pretty gross. I'm not a fan. I liked that Bang stuff, honestly, but now that's all getting like dumped off the shelves. Yeah, Linkin Park would have been high on here for sure. I think so, but I think they would have ultimately got bumped out eventually. Anyways, it's got to be pretty hard. Yeah, it's kind of split, but I'm seeing it swing towards Five Finger Death Punch. I'm a little surprised by that. I feel like Pantera is definitely the more popular known band. I think more people, like if I were to ask my dad, like, do you know who Pantera is? He'd say yes. And then if I asked him, do you know who Five Finger Death Punch is? He'd say no. But, you know, generational differences matter. And I'm not really like out there seeing people. I'm definitely not like in school or anything too. So that's a big factor. But it looks like Five Finger Death Punch probably going to take this. 63% with 71 votes. Going once. Going twice. Sold to Five Finger Death Punch. Progressing to the final round, which is Metallica versus Five Finger Death Punch. For the title here, this is the final, the final question. Is it going to be the legends, the classics, Metallica, going back to the 80s, all the way up until now with Stranger Things, blowing them up again? Or is it going to be the relative newcomers, not that they're really that new, because they've been around for some time now, since I was a youngin', but relatively speaking, they're the young ones in this vote. What's it going to be? We'll see if there's an upset here, but I think I know which way this is going to go. Which is the normier band, again, not which is the better band, which is the normier band, and ultimately the normiest band to be a fan of all time. Of all time. And I know like this makes it a little bit less fun because you could probably see it ending up this way to begin with, but there's no way Five Finger Death Punch is taking this one with 3% of the vote. 72 votes in, 96% going to Metallica. It's a landslide, absolutely. Gonna go ahead and call it, and Metallica maintains the throne for... What is this? I don't want this. Oh, do I want to download this? No, I don't. How do I get out of this? There we go. Metallica maintains the throne for the normiest metal band of all time. Thank you all for your voting. It's been real fun. Been nice chatting with y'all. I like to do some of these sporadically too. Please do consider supporting me on Patreon, especially these early months in the year. Ad revenue is a lot lower, but I'm trying to put out some just top quality videos for y'all at least twice a week. Also on the reaction channel, you can subscribe to me there where I'm just reacting to new songs. There's merch you can pick up as well with an awesome design that was done from Corey of Zombie Shark, whose music you should also check out. And yeah, listen to Hellripper and Ulthar. And be ready for more awesome tier lists. I'll probably do some more brackets in the future too, but I think that'll do it for now. So I'm going to call it. See y'all in the